Carlo Cottarelli, head of the IMF Fiscal Affairs Department. We're launching today the September 2011 issue of the Fiscal Monitor. One of the key questions of fiscal policy remains how fiscal adjustment is affecting growth. What does the Fiscal Monitor say about this? How can fiscal policy sustain growth?
The most important thing that fiscal policy can do for growth is support confidence. There is not enough confidence in economic developments at present, and this means that people are not investing enough, are not consuming enough. And there are two things that fiscal policy can do to support confidence. First of all, to make sure that the public sector itself does not become a cause of instability. This requires that governments have medium-term plans to explain how their rising public debt is going to be repaid. The second thing that governments can do is that within these plans, they have to make sure that the fiscal tightening does not become a cause of instability. Now, if you raise taxes too fast, if you cut spending too rapidly, people are not going to have enough money to invest and to consume. And this would also be bad for growth, would be a cause of instability. So our message is have a plan, start reducing deficit, but you have to do it at the right pace. Not too fast, not too slow, at least in countries that are not subject to market pressures and therefore have a bit more flexibility.
In advanced economies, health spending reforms and pension reforms remain key to achieve long-term, medium-term fiscal sustainability. How does the Fiscal Monitor assess the progress that has been made in this area?
I think that more needs to be done in the area of reforming pension system and healthcare system. Some progress has been made in the pension area by countries like Greece, Spain, France, but there has been much less progress in other countries. And there has been much less progress in reforming healthcare systems. And this is worrisome because the projected increase in healthcare spending over the next 20, 30 years is actually larger than for pension spending. More needs to be done in reforming healthcare, including in large countries like the United States, where healthcare spending is projected to increase faster than in other advanced countries. Reforms in this area are particularly important because they very much affect the evolution of the fiscal accounts in the long run. So reforming these areas will be important to restore confidence in the public sector, and therefore it will be good for growth.
Emerging markets have very different fiscal challenges than advanced economies. What is your advice for them?
I think that fiscal policy in emerging markets should be tightened to avoid the risk of overheating. The fiscal accounts of emerging markets in general, of course there are exceptions, but in general are better than the fiscal accounts of advanced countries at the moment. But these economies are overheating. Inflation is too high. In response to this overheating, most emerging economies are tightening fiscal policy in 2011 and intend to tighten in 2012. But in some emerging markets, this tightening is not enough. They should tighten a bit more to reduce the pressure on inflation. At the same time, it is important that all emerging markets maintain some degree of flexibility, given the very uncertain economic future at present. This means that if their economies cool off on their own, they can slow down the pace of fiscal adjustment.
Carlo Cottarelli, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.